Good morning, good afternoon. Today, we're going to have, sometimes you can't always do the fun stuff, all the merry stuff, the easiest stuff that's out there. Sometimes you got to talk about the hard things. And today I'm saying we're going to talk about chargebacks. We're going to talk about clawbacks. Oh, all these things kind of hurt my back. But when you're going to talk about these things, you might as well have some experts in the room. And I always have two of the greatest experts in our Paprotech sphere, our trainers. And we'll start on the far left-hand side of your screen. Jenny Rickle, how are you? Today, we're not going to talk about the most fun things, but they're important things for us to set expectations for ourselves and our merchants. When we talk about good things, I like to ask fun questions. What's something fun that you've done this summer that you can't wait to do again?
I've been doing a lot of running this summer, and I actually am going to do a race this weekend. So I love to be out in the mountains and out exploring, and I have actually gone a lot of different places. So I can't wait to do some more exploring and some more hiking. So I'm really looking forward to it.
And we all love that you said that it was fun. So you will have the fun running. I'm going to go out and have fun walking and hiking, and do it a little bit slower. But Mike, coming to you, what are some of the things that as your kids go back to school next week and summer is kind of tipping down, what's things that yours a highlight of your summer that you can't wait to do again?
Live music. We saw some great live music a couple times in the park here in Warsaw every Friday night. And then my buddy and I are going to see the stadium tour next Tuesday night with Poison, Def Leppard, Joan Jett, and Motley Crue is the other one.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty excited about that. That's all. I've seen two of those before, but never Poison and Motley Crue, so I'm excited about that.
I do think I may want some live video of that, or some. It doesn't have to be live. Some afterwards of you moshing. If you can get as close to the stage possible, that would be really helpful. And a picture with I just lost his name because I just watched the show, Pamela and whatever.
Pamela Anderson and Tommy Lee.
Tommy Lee, thank you. Drummond, because when he started out, when the tour started, I remember the storyline, he couldn't keep going because he had broken, I think, 4 ribs, and he was still doing like 3 or 4 songs in the show. And I've never broken my ribs, but I know several people that have, and they all say it's some of the most painful. No way you can't jump, you can't do anything. He was drumming for Motley Crue. I was like, this guy was on something. But
and I think they're clean now. I don't know. That's what I was just going to say. I don't know that they're doing that.
He may have.
I hope
he didn't drum the whole show, so maybe he is clean. But man, that's some work. All right.
Yeah, he took a few nights off after that first show.
So we like to think about fun things. Now the not so fun things of payments. And we're going to start with things that affect your merchants. We're going to start chargebacks. These is a fair word. There are industries that are more given to chargebacks, but let's start with the most basic of questions in case you're new to this industry. And merchants may bring coming something. What is a chargeback, Mike Stetzel?
I looked this up the other day, and basically it is when a customer of yours says, I didn't buy this, it's not mine, or this is the wrong amount, this is fraud, all these kind of things, where you have to now defend yourself and show proof that, hey, this is a legitimate charge. This is a legitimate thing that you purchased, and here's the signed receipt that says so. So basically, it's when somebody disputes their charge with your company.
And what we see is that means, let's just say it's a $100 transaction, and you're going to see that $100 then that was deposited into your account to be pulled back. And Jenny, can you kind of walk us through what the typical, there's not 100% always this is how the process works, but the process for our merchants as they see that chargeback come in, and what they should be looking for when it comes to these chargebacks, how they're going to be notified, what they're going to see.
Absolutely. First step, customer says either I didn't buy that or this is what I did not expect. So they go ahead and dispute the card with their card issuer bank, right, with their credit card. From that point, the merchant, the business, will receive notification, and they will actually have the funds debited out of their account. So now the funds are on hold until this dispute can be reviewed by internal team and resolved. The merchant will be asked to provide information pertaining to show that the charge was in fact authorized and a legitimate charge. So typically a receipt, invoicing, any additional information to show that this in fact was what the customer and the business had agreed upon. From there, it will be reviewed by our chargeback team and then a decision is made. So it does take some time, and you can anticipate that those funds are held during the review process until the case can be resolved. So, and during the whole process, the merchant does receive notifications within their Payments Hub account that's right there within Chargebacks. They receive email notifications. As a sales partner, you can actually go in and see the case number as well as information about where the status is and things like that. So we try to provide as much information as possible during that review process until everything's been resolved and completed.
It's such kind of a scary project and process. And we'll be honest, it's in the customer's favor, not in the merchant's favor. And this isn't the rules by Paprotech or the rules by EPX or our processor. These are put together by the card brands and how their rules together with the issuing banks that are actually doing it. Now, there are certain industries and types of, they're going to have more chargebacks. You're going to see types of like e-commerce. You're going to see places that are maybe at the high risk stuff, some of the stuff that we're selling, and they don't want that to show on their card. And so there's going to call and say, I didn't buy that. They're lying through their teeth. And you have to prove to them that they actually did. And e-commerce is very hard to do. What are some of the things, Mike, that merchants can do to protect themselves? But even more specifically, what can partners, our sales partners, do to help protect their merchants? What can they be telling their merchants and encouraging their merchants to do to help protect themselves, to make sure they actually win the things that are, because we're working with good people. They're doing good business. They sold the product, the service, and they got paid, but now they're not. What things should we encourage them to do?
Any time that a merchant can get a signature for whether it's picking up the furniture that they ordered, having that furniture delivered to them, placing the order, having work done at your home, the contractor has accomplished this much of it, and they're going to ask for this much payment. The concept is that you need to be able to prove that this customer received those services and they acknowledge that. The two types of businesses I just mentioned, a furniture store and a contractor, have a lot of what we call future liability. If you think about purchasing furniture now, with the supply chain issues, you may wait 6 to 8 months for your furniture to come in, but they're going to expect you to pay for that 100%. So as the merchant or as the agent, make them aware that yes, they have signed the order form. They have signed the credit card receipt acknowledging expected delivery date is here. The more facts they can provide on that receipt, the more they'll be able to defend that chargeback. So let's say 4 months later, this person gets impatient. They go to a different store, they buy something that is in stock, and they call you and say, oh, I don't want this anymore. I didn't order this. As you said, Nate, people can lie. And now you have proof. Here's the order form. Here's where they agreed to pay for it and signed that on their credit card receipt. That's going to put that merchant in a position to win that case. So documentation and making them aware that, oh, by the way, you are in an industry that is exposed to much higher risk than me going down the street to this Mexican restaurant and having dinner. There's no chargebacks in the restaurant business. Very rarely, unless somebody goes in and uses a card fraudulently. But it's these other types of businesses where it's our responsibility to educate our merchant, especially now with material shortages and things like that.
One of the things to watch that I've heard from partners recently, and we'll see this, I was just on a phone conversation in the last week with a merchant that, or not with a merchant, with a partner that had a merchant shut down and was closed risk on their new account. And I asked the question, how many chargebacks had they had? That was my first thought, because I'm like, there are a lot of things we can shut down for, but my always first question is, what do the chargebacks look like? And he hadn't even looked. He hadn't gone onto the platform and looked. Jenny, it's pretty easy for our partners to get in and be able to see if there are any chargebacks, because they can just log onto their merchant, look at the merchant directly, and click on. Can you walk them through that? And how would you encourage them to be able to help monitor that, especially with merchants that they're maybe, they signed up, but they know they're at higher risk for more chargebacks, and maybe they don't even know the merchant quite as much because they sold it online or only through the phone or something like that. What things can they do to be help to protect themselves? Because chargebacks hurt the partner, because you're not going to earn residual, and it's going to take something, future. There could be some clawbacks on some things as this back. We'll talk about that in a second. What can the partner do to help protect themselves and make sure they're aware of what's happening?
I think you just said the main word right there, Nate. Just be aware. So, in order to go ahead and take a look if there is an open chargeback within the Payments Hub portal, when you review the merchant account, there is an actual section called Disputes, and this will list any single chargebacks that are going on. Also, within the portal, you can see support tickets, and you can review information there if there's been a support ticket open. So, we do try to provide multiple places where you can review if a merchant is having any chargeback disputes. And then speaking to protecting your self to make sure that you don't put yourself in any type of category where you're taking on merchants where there are a lot of chargebacks, just be mindful of the industry type, right? E-commerce is definitely more susceptible to chargebacks because everything is done online. And then the higher risk type of categories, we actually have that restricted and prohibited list for review. So if you're taking on that type of merchant, just really maybe ask those questions. Do you have chargebacks? What is your history with those? Like, have an open-ended conversation. It's better than just signing them up right away, getting the deal, and then later on seeing, oh gosh, this merchant was shut down because they had too many chargebacks. So really kind of have a radar on for these merchants that have these higher type risk type of businesses to really just be mindful of this. Keep an eye on it. Make sure that you're really checking in on these types of businesses and accounts.
Make it part of your daily, or right, not daily, but weekly check-in. Make a 15-minute appointment on your calendar to check on your new merchants, and you just kind of scroll through, click on them, look at them really quickly, and see if anything's changed in the dispute section, any chargebacks or support tickets you should know. And those are just general things that are helpful just to make sure that you are aware of what's going on with your merchants, make sure that you're not going to be, your livelihood's not going to be affected by things that are happening outside of your world and outside of really out of your control. And some of those things is that we're looking for, because we don't want to see those bonus buybacks. We sometimes call them clawbacks. That's the term that you hear, especially in the sales world, where we take back some of that money. It's not fun. Chargebacks aren't fun. They break our back. We don't want to see them, but we do have bonus buybacks. So let's start with the fun part. We give bonuses. So let's talk about peak bonuses. Mike, when does someone receive a peak bonus? These wonderful things on global accounts, maxed at 6x, you got the 12x and the 14x, huge bonus opportunities. We preach it, we tell it, up to $10,000. But sometimes that doesn't happen just the way we'll talk about the second. But when are they going to get those bonuses, those big ones?
They get that bonus after the first full month of processing. Let's say the first full month of processing is August. We pay that residual on September 15th. Then we do that 12x or 14x multiplier, and we would have that bonus to you by October 20th, typically a couple days after residuals are paid. So it's a couple months after the account is boarded, and now you've got this big bonus, and this is exciting, and this is the fun part. Like Nate said, it's one of the really unique things about PayProtect. I've not seen anybody else paying 12 times, 14 times profit that really amounts to our first year of profit to their partners. So is it fun? Absolutely. Is it something that you want to be aware of? The things that go with it? Absolutely. Am I supposed to keep going, Nate? Are we gonna switch over to the other?
Well, I'll switch us over, because there is a thing called liability, and liability means that merchant, we're not just going to give you 12 or 14 months of your profit and really taking and forwarding that ahead of you, and that merchant stops processing or closes or does something, and that's what's called liability. But there's a liability that you have to have. So let's start, Jenny, I'll come to you on this one. How long is the liability? And then Mike, I'll come to you after that, what that means when something happens and that merchant stops processing. But how long is their liability? How long does that merchant have to stay with us in order for that bonus to be fully theirs?
The liability period for those true-up bonuses is a year from the time that bonus is issued. So if you have a merchant that signs up March and they don't even start processing until July and their true up is paid in August, then that's when the clock starts ticking. So from the time that that bonus is issued, it's a year liability period that the merchant must stay open, processing, and active with us for that entire year. Um, and it is a solid year. So if the merchant starts processing and that clock starts in August and they stop in February, that's going to cause a bonus buyback. It must be a true 12 months from the time that that bonus is issued in order to prevent any type of bonus buyback from happening for yourself.
And these are not the fun things that we don't like having to do. And it's all of us protecting our business. And that's why I love this business. If you make money, we make money. But when you're not making money, we aren't making money. And we have to protect ourselves too. So Mike, let's talk through what that looks like. That merchant, sometime in that liability period from that year that bonus is paid to them to the year after, the 12 full months, what happens when that merchant stops processing and closes or switches to another processor, or the variety of things that can happen with that merchant? What happens to that bonus that was paid?
Unfortunately, as Jenny explained it, you have to continually process for that year after the true up is paid. If they stop at any point in time because they close, because they go out of business, any sad thing, any fun thing, they sell out, whatever it is, unfortunately, the entire bonus is bought back. And that means we don't take it out of your bank account. We take it out of your residuals. If you're getting $500 worth of residuals and you have a $2,000 buyback, we'll continue to hold your residuals until that's paid back. I have seen a couple cases when that balance does get high and the residuals aren't real high. There is a possibility of holding bonuses as well, but that's not the normal procedure. But just to be aware that it is important and it is a big liability. And so I know of partners that put all that money aside until that year is up, or they'll put a half of all of their true up bonuses away. So if one's gone, they're still covered. I know it's not always possible to do that, but it's just something you have to be aware of as you're living your life and budgeting your life.
So one of the things I wonder is how can you plan for that? Because as you're getting started out, that bonus is a huge help. What are things, Jenny, that they can do to help make sure those protect the merchant, make sure the merchant is processing, do everything in their control? There are a few things that are out of their control, meaning that the merchant closes business and things like that. But what things can they do to make sure that bonus is as safe as possible?
Just set yourself up for success, really. Like, take into consideration the business type. Is it a seasonal business? Are they going to be able to be consistent, or do they have those, really high processing months and low months? So I really encourage agents for your consistent accounts, like that restaurant that you've gone to every Friday night for the past 3 years. That is a great opportunity to take a bonus. They're going
Mm-hmm.
to be consistent, and that they're going to stay in business for a year. The local auto body shop, places that you yourself have gone to over the years that that are just going to stay in business. So set yourself up for success. Also, just keep in touch with their merchants. Anytime that a merchant calls into our customer queue at North American Bank Card, a ticket is generated and you are notified via an email notification. So we really do like to keep in touch. Sometimes these can be a little over the over the edge when you see that you're getting notifications for like terminal swaps and things like that, but really do keep an eye on those because you'll see those notifications. Merchant called asking about their rates, merchant called asking about a cancellation fee, and then right away you can give them a call and make sure that everything's okay with that merchant. So we do try to provide a lot of tools and resources so you know what's going on with your merchant, stay in contact with them, and really just check in with them. It's like keep that communication going always.
It's that important piece of customer service. The fact is, the bigger the bonus, the bigger the opportunity, the bigger the risk, and really the more that you should be sharing that care and that personal touch with those merchants. I believe you should have that personal touch with all your merchants, but if you got a $50 bonus on one and a $5,000 bonus on the other, let's be honest, check in with the 5,000 one a little bit more. Make sure you know what you're doing. Make sure that you know that they're processing. And I would say make sure, and I think we set everyone up to do this, but make sure you're getting those alerts if they stop processing. They haven't processed in 72 hours. They haven't. And the other thing is, Mike, there's a lot of times that we just don't take the bonus. Either take your higher split or just opt out of the bonus on those things, ones that are not going to be consistent or you're feeling a little risky. Let's make the residual money, right?
Yep. It's a great point, um, especially if you're in a situation where this is a lower volume client and you use Pay Anywhere and you get a $600 bonus, and deep down this customer is low volume, not real high price, and you're going to lose at least half of that when it comes to true up time. There are people that choose not to do it. Um, Jenny, have you dealt with somebody specifically that has done that? And are they happy about it in the end? I don't know if I've ever dealt with somebody specifically that does it. I know Jace Lee's told me about several people who do, though.
Where they would take a piece of equipment without a bonus? Is that what you're?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Just say, you know what?
absolutely.
Just check none. I'm not going to hassle with it.
Absolutely. Pay Anywhere is nice for seasonal, and then that way you can just have that mobile solution that keeps track with the reporting. But then if they go ahead and they're gonna
Mm,
decrease their volume, like especially right now in the summertime, those like farmers markets, those flea markets, fireworks stands are really popular in July. You can give them those mobile devices. You can still provide them as a free placement and not take the bonus, or you could even purchase the equipment and then take the higher residual if you have that commission set up. Some people do, some people don't, right? But there's definitely opportunities where you can see, hey, I'll just take the residual for this seasonal type of business, and then I can take that and not take any type of liability from the bonus.
It's about making best decisions for your business and the business you're doing. And this is why it's a good business to be in. If everybody wins, everybody keeps processing, merchants keep making money, you keep then making money, and then we make money. It's a great win. But we also have to make sure you're aware with these bonuses. Just be aware. Notice, make sure you're paying attention, because we don't like the phone calls, and they happen every week when the panic sets in and you realized that you're getting a buyback because of something that happened, especially if that was something that was preventable. And we don't want that happening to any of us, because when we're buying back, that means we're losing out on money too. And that was money that we were hoping to make and planning on making. And that's our goal. All of us make some money. As we close out today, guys, let's end on a little more positive note. It is August. We're excited. We're coming in. What is something in the fall that you guys really enjoy? It's going to start cooling down here in the next couple of weeks. We're going to start seeing trees change in 8 weeks from now, though maybe in Colorado. I don't actually know when that happens in Colorado. We're going to see those mornings. I can't wait to that first morning when it's chip. I can go outside and drink a hot cup of coffee instead of an iced coffee. What are things we're looking forward to in the fall, Jenny?
I'm such a nerd. I like to go run and hike in the fall, but it's because of all the colors are beautiful. And I'm actually planning a hike on a 14er, so 14,000 feet with Jason Lee coming up in like a month. So it's really cool around here just to see the colors. And they do start in about like the end of the month, and it's beautiful. So I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, the colors and the 14,000 feet, two things that I won't see around here. Well, I'll see the colors here in about, end of October. I will not see 14,000 feet here in Indianapolis. Mike, I don't think you're going to 14,000 feet, though. Maybe with Motley Crue. I don't know. I'm not saying. You may get a little, but
what are
you looking forward to in the fall?
I was just talking to Jason Lee yesterday about your guys' 14er. I feel so hip to have learned the term again. And I just admire you too, and your running and your hiking and that energy and it's just impressive. I'm looking forward to a couple more camping trips in the fall. It's been a little tougher this year with our kids' schedules with soccer and dance. So we have a Labor Day and then a late September one coming up that I think we'll get to do in spite of all the activities. And it's just such a nice time of year to get out, enjoy a campfire. Last 3 months have not been campfire season. If we could just go from fall to spring again and skip that winter, I'd be happy.
Well, I like it. This has been another episode of Office Hours, where we want to make sure that chargebacks and clawbacks and buybacks don't break your back, because we're here about making money all together. And on that, we say have a great time. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time on Office Hours. Bye-bye, guys.
Goodbye. See y'all.